This morning, I am delighted to introduce the Rabbi Phil Cohen, the Rabbi of Congregation Beth Shalom. He holds rabbinical ordination from Hebrew Union College Jewish Institute of Religion in New York City. In addition, he has a Ph.D. from Brandeis University in Jewish thought and a Master of Fine Arts degree in fiction from Spalding University in Louisville. His debut novel, Nick Bones' Underground, won a finalist award in the category of debut novel from the Jewish Book Council. He is married to Betsy Gamberg and is the proud father of Ellie and Talia and the extraordinarily proud grandfather of Ava Ruth, almost 3 years old. Rabbi Cohen's sermon this morning is titled Radical Amazement in the Time of COVID, and I am sure that we are all going to enjoy what he has to say. Finally, I would like to thank the folks that make our online worship possible. Thank you to our tech hosts, April Rodiguero and Larry Lyle, and to our religious educator, Jamila Batchelder, music director, Jeremy Wagner, and pianist, Hans Haruth. Please relax and enjoy our prelude.
Can you hear me? Okay, so I'm going to mute myself.
Thank you, Hans. Our opening words this morning are from a reading in our hymnal, number 419, that is attributed to Kalidasa. Look to this day, for it is life, the very life of life. In its brief course lie all the verities and realities of your existence, the bliss of growth, the glory of action, the splendor of beauty. For yesterday is but a dream, and tomorrow is only a vision. But today, well lived, makes every yesterday a dream of happiness, and every tomorrow a vision of hope. Look well, therefore, to this day. Now, if you'll join me in singing hymn number 118, This Little Light of Mine. This is one that I know we all know. So I'm going to try to hear you singing through the cosmos. Ready, go. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Yay, I could almost hear you. And now is the time in our service when we light the symbol of our faith, our chalice, and repeat together our words of affirmation. You may wish to light a candle at home or look in the chat for the digital chalice. So please join me in lifting your voices in homes across our city, country, and world to share our weekly words of affirmation. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Amen.
Good morning. The theme for our service this Sunday is radical amazement. And so for our centering, I want to take this time to notice that which is amazing, that is around us all the time, that we so often don't even notice. So I want you to take a moment to find something around you right now, something totally ordinary that you haven't taken the time to really see, to really notice. I chose this ladle. So take a moment and go look around and find something. And if you'd like to share in the chat what item you selected, I would love to find out. Connie says her puppies. Glasses. Oh, that's an important one. I can't find mine right now. A moment more to find something to meditate on today. A high heel, a coffee cup, the blossoms on a plant, laptop. Whatever it is you have found, I want you now to really sink in to a deep attention of it. Notice its colors, its textures, the way it interacts with the light. Observe its form, its curves, planes, edges and points. Feel its weight in your hand, heavy or light. The way it feels against your fingers, the way it smells. Notice just how extraordinary it is, how truly beautiful. And think about how it impacts your life. Maybe it has some important purpose, or maybe it just amuses and delights you. Think about how it interacts with other objects, how through this interaction, their extraordinary quality is multiplied, and how the impact they have goes beyond that one moment, and how it ripples outward. How this soup ladled by this ladle nourished people who went on to do other things. Whatever it is that you are holding, that it has had an impact in this world in ways that you can't even imagine. Breathe in and take a moment to let yourself really feel that deep appreciation and amazement that you have had the opportunity to be with this extraordinary object. And that it exists and is a part of your world. Let yourself open to amazement.
Thank you, Jamila. Now is the time in our service when we gather our hearts across the distance, knowing that our community is with us, holding us in love amid life's sorrows and joys alike, now and always. I'll begin by sharing the joys and concerns submitted at our website, and then I will invite those gathered to share your joys and sorrows in the chat, and I'll read as many of those as I'm able. Our hearts go out this morning to the Johnson family. Mark's mother passed away on Wednesday afternoon, and services will be Tuesday in Indiana. Martha Brownlee asks us to send healing wishes for her brother Michael as he moves from ICU to a step-down unit after cardiac arrest on Monday in New York City. I am waiting for joys and concerns to roll in the chat. I'm sure you have one or two. Yes, here they go. Megan Gore, Arabella would like to share the joy of a new puppy, which is always a joy, Princess Zola. Robin Duplay, we will join her in sorrow for her friend Antonio, who is battling COVID. We will join in feeling the loss with Connie Ordway of our regular Thanksgiving gatherings and holiday traditions that are all going to be different this year. Ruth Millage shares a concern for room at the inn as it prepares to serve our unhoused fellows. And I will add to that a joy that our congregation has found it within ourselves to open our doors to room at the inn this year. Barb Tucker shares a joy that Ellen, who had COVID last week, has been fever-free for 2 days and is on the mend. Megan Gore is concerned about her mother, who will have surgery on her spine Wednesday and a stay in the hospital for 5 days, and who is at high risk for COVID. Megan, our hearts are with you. And Robin also shares joy for time outside in nature and the sun and the rain and even the wind. That was a little intense this morning. The sensory experience and a chance to stretch our legs, which is a joy. We also share concern with Rebecca Graves about the integrity of our country as we move forward or try to. And joy from Andrew Twaddle that Herb Tillema is recovering from spinal surgery this week. Let us hold together all of the joys and concerns of our community, those spoken and not spoken, shared and not shared. And remember that at this time, while we are all in the same storm, we are not all in the same boat. And I would like to share with you this prayer from the Reverend Joan Javier Duval. Spirit of life, I find you in those humble places, the quiet, still spaces where I am held in a love greater than myself. You are the wind in my breath, the fire in my soul, the subtle heartbeat of creation all around me. Oh God, your love is unimposing, yet firm and steadfast, present to all those who would know your peace. You challenge me in my arrogance and move me to listen deeply when I fail, as I always do, to see the fuller picture. Spirit of love, you find the gentle words to speak life into me and hold me when all else around me and in me feels broken. You remind me that I am loved and saved just as I am. Your salvation is found in living life loved. Remind me of who I am, O Holy Mystery. Help me to see you in the small, everyday moments where you are found. And grant me the wisdom to listen for you and seek you in those unlikely and unexpected places. Amen. We will now join in singing, and I apologize, you're getting a lot of me this morning because Jeremy was not feeling well, so you're getting a dose of candy, soon to be addressed. Join me in singing hymn number 354, We Laugh and We Cry. It is just verses 1 and 4. So here we go. We laugh, we cry, we live, we die, we dance, we sing our song. We need to feel there's something here to which we can belong. We need to feel the freedom just to have some time alone. But most of all, we need close friends we can call our very own. And we believe in life and in the strength of love. And we have found a need to be together. We have our hearts to give. We have our thoughts to receive. And we believe that sharing is an answer. We seek elusive answers to the questions of this life. We seek to put an end to all the waste of human strife. We search for truth, equality, and blessed peace of mind. And then we come together here to make sense of what we find. And we believe in life and in the strength of love. And we have found a joy being together. And in our search for peace, maybe we'll finally see, even to question truly is an answer. Our reading this morning is an excerpt from On Looking, 11 Walks with Expert Eyes by Alexandra Horowitz. Right now, you are missing the vast majority of what is happening around you. You are missing the events unfolding in your body, in the distance, and right in front of you. By marshaling your attention to these words, helpfully framed in a distinct border of white, you are ignoring an unthinkably large amount of information that continues to bombard all of your senses. The hum of the fluorescent lights, the ambient noise in a large room, the places your chair presses against your legs or back, your tongue touching the roof of your mouth, the tension you are holding in your shoulders or jaw, the map of the cool and warm places on your body, the constant hum of traffic or a distant lawnmower, the blurred view of your own shoulders and torso in your peripheral vision, a chirp of a bug or whine of a kitchen appliance. Though paying attention seems simple, there are numerous forms of payment. To concentrate, to pay attention, is viewed as a brow-furrowing exercise. Sit still, don't blink. This may do for a moment of concentration, but it is not the way to better attention in your daily life. For that, we need to know what attention is. The very concept is odd. Is it an ability, a tendency, a skill? The long-time model used by psychologists is that of a spotlight that picks out particular items of interest to examine, bringing some things into focus and awareness while leaving other things in the dim, dusty sideline. The metaphor makes me feel like a headlight-wearing spelunker who can only see what is right in front of her in the darkness of the cave. Such a comparison can be misleading because, in fact, one can still report on what was within one's peripheral vision at rates better than chance. And despite that spotlight, we seem to miss huge elements of the thing we are ostensibly attending to. There ends the reading. Welcome, Rabbi Cohen.
Well, good morning. I have to ask a question. Am I on now? I'm speaking? Okay. Well, I'm Phil Cohen. I guess in the program you've seen a little bit of information about me, and I have a few remarks I'd like to share with you. But even though I say in my remarks, thank you, I really want to thank you again. These readings and songs have just been really wonderful. I really enjoyed these few minutes with you folks. So let me call up my text. Give me a second. All right, no, wait a second. I got to move this window. Okay, sorry. In the mid-19th century, Rabbi Isaac Mayer Wise, who had immigrated from Germany to the United States sometime in the 1840s, had found himself the leader of American Judaism. He met with the leadership of the Unitarian Church sometime, I believe, in the 1850s to explore the possibility of merger. I may be guilty of being anachronistic, but I believe what enticed Wise to explore that possibility were the many commonalities he saw between the two faiths. In particular, both movements preached an abiding liberalism in religion and in politics. That may be anachronistic, by the way. I'm not sure Wise was a particularly liberal person in politics, even by 19th century standards, but certainly religion. Today, that commonality is even stronger, as I believe the liberalism that characterizes us both draws us in the same direction over a phalanx of issues that confront America: climate change, poverty, race, equality. Both faiths see in America ripe with potential, but always in need of loving correction. And so because of that historical relationship, I've always felt welcome in the Unitarian Universalist house of worship. And again, I thank you for the invitation this morning. When I was asked to identify a sermon topic, which was a while ago, I was caught a bit off guard, probably had something else in my head, and wanting to get on with whatever that was. I responded, I don't want to see I was so sloppy about this, but I responded by challenging myself, by attempting to join two items that were on my mind at the time, and they still are on my mind. The first is obvious. It's on everyone's mind, and everyone's mind. The virus that's afflicting the planet, causing now nearly, well, over 1 million deaths around the world, with some 230,000 dead here in the US. How could that not have been on my mind? The second is less obvious. I would say in the last year or so, I've acquired a new interest in the Jewish theologian Abraham Joshua Heschel, whose dates are 1907 to 1972. At age 65, he was taken from us, much too young. Born in Poland, he escaped Europe and the Holocaust, having been rescued by the Hebrew Union College in Cincinnati, and arrived in the US in 1940. He was an extraordinary scholar, Heschel, writing in the fields of medieval philosophy, Jewish mysticism, rabbinic thought, modern philosophy, Bible. He became an important social critic, speaking out in his day against racism and the Vietnam War, among other things. He also became an original theologian, tying together ostensibly diverse pieces of the Jewish tradition and the philosophical tradition into a coherent whole. His theology, I've learned in the past little while, is well worth a look. But this morning I wish to focus on a continuing theme of his, briefly to be sure, a notion he characterizes as the core of all spiritual life. You wake up in the morning and it's the same old thing. The news is bad, the virus is in full-blown attack on the world, and you check to see how bad it is today in Boone County, or wherever it is your children or someone else you love might be living. You make coffee, tea, some toast, you get on with your day, whatever that day might consist of. But one thing for certain about your day, COVID-19 is not too far from your thoughts, including those inescapable thoughts. How in the world did we get here? And when in the world is this thing going away? And it's no wonder we're frequently on edge, finding ourselves locked in a world fogged in by an invisible bug that's turned everything upside down and is killing thousands and thousands every day worldwide. It's hard to be at your best. It's hard to be your spiritual best when masked. You go about your day with an awareness of actions and the actions of those around us. We go into a business and someone comes up to you and says, "Hey, how are you?" And you don't recognize him because his mask covers the lower half of his face. And you're just used to it by now. It's the custom of the day, the new normal, that phrase we hear all too often. We meet each other on little rectangles. And in this particular rectangle, you can see me and I can't see you. It's an act of faith that you're out there. And also, and under the participants thing on the bottom of the Zoom screen, it says you're out there. We meet, we go to work, we go to school on all those little rectangles. The world has changed and our finitude stares us in the face day after aggravating day. Have our fundamental needs really been altered by the blurry world in which we live? Here's where Rabbi Heschel might be of help. One of his most basic yet critical insights concerns what he sees as our great spiritual need, the need to constantly be surprised by what we experience, much like that exercise we had at the beginning of the service. We wake up in the morning and it's the same. COVID, politics, the mask, the hand washing, the living in an isolated existence in the attempt to elude the virus. This is true. But equally true, Heschel might tell us, is that beneath the day-to-day, beneath our legitimate concerns, lies something else, something we need to search for, but which is nonetheless there, available to us if only we seek it out. The potential for this kind of seeing Heschel famously calls radical amazement. Quote, "Our goal in our lives," Heschel says, "should be to live life in radical amazement. Get up in the morning and look at the world in a way that takes nothing for granted. Everything is phenomenal. Everything is incredible. Never treat life casually," he says. "To be spiritual is to be amazed." Now, if we were doing a study session of some kind, we could look at many of these quotes and other elements of Heschel's thought. But for our purposes now, that is a very good introduction to this idea of radical amazement. It's a mindset, the ability to be amazed by the world around us, a consciousness that we can develop. It matters not if the day you encounter in the morning is sunny or rainy, if the news is good or bad. It matters not if you don a mask as you enter the Hy-Vee or wash your hands with sanitizer after you fill your gas tank. Beneath it all rests the same world, the same you encountering that world. The same you has the capacity to see the world as if for the first time, to see it as an amazing place that we've been granted our years to live in and work with and share. The world is yours to not take for granted. It's a small insight, this, yet the experience of amazement, of seeing newness where others see the mundane, when we allow ourselves to enter into it, can carry us above the mundane and open our spirits to the transcendent being a challenge to find in these COVID-ridden days. I need to pause for a moment and mention something about Heschel that's important when considering him. Heschel, you see, didn't dwell isolated in the ivory tower, thinking these thoughts of radical amazement in the abstract. He became one of the Jewish community's most visible and vocal activists. He was heavily involved in civil rights, a close friend of Dr. Martin Luther King's, famously a member of that line of clergy crossing that bridge in Selma, Alabama, that day in 1965, arm in arm with John Lewis, a certain unnamed nun, Ralph Abernathy, Dr. Martin Luther King, Ralph Bunche, Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth. So I paused, like I did, to make a point about the attitude provoked by radical amazement. It's not a thing that causes you to sit back and drink tea and eat biscuits while you renew your friendship with the sun or the moon. Radical amazement, surely a worthy attitude in itself, is necessarily partnered with the demand that you get on your feet and correct the wrongs of this world, to march with your brothers and sisters to change the world. That's why you see Heschel marching for the cause of civil rights, exercising that necessary condition between the world as we see it and the amazing world, perhaps the one being the more real, the amazing one being the more real that lies behind our vision, the world we have to give birth to day after day. And so, my virtual friends who see me but I cannot see you, radical amazement in the time of coronavirus challenges us to throw off the doldrums of the mask and the hand sanitizer, although not to throw them off literally, you understand. Don't go home saying, Rabbi Cohen said, don't wear a mask or don't wash your hands. I didn't say that. And dig deep into our consciousness to observe what lies before us as if for the first time and celebrate this world, even as we commit to march across the bridges that need crossing to change the world. And those are my remarks, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Very much appreciate your taking the time with us this morning. And I, in preparing for the service, really enjoyed reading about Rabbi Heschel, not someone I'd heard of. So very, very instructive. And thank you again for sharing with us. Now is the time in our service when we share amongst ourselves in generosity. We take a collection every week. Many weeks we have a collection that we share with other organizations in the community. But this week it's just for us. So there is a link in the chat where you can donate if you feel so moved, and we hope that you do. And otherwise, sit back and listen to Hans' beautiful music. Thank you so much to all of you who helped with the service this morning. I now come to our closing words. They are from the Reverend Wayne Arneson. Take courage, friends. The way is often hard, the path is never clear, and the stakes are very high. Take courage, for deep down there is another truth. You are not alone. Even now, especially now, you are not alone. We are with you across the distance. Go in blessing and be a blessing to a world that needs our care. And we are a little early today, so you will have some extra time in coffee hour to go out and enjoy this glorious day. And now please join me in singing from your homes across town and everywhere else our sung benediction. Now on leaving one another, may we give of hand and heart. Let us share our benediction lovingly before we part. Amen. Enjoy your day, everyone.